Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Ryan Smith. I'm with you here doing another episode of Modex Network Voices, where we have experts come on and talk about what they're working on in their companies or in their research. And today we have someone that does both, which is really nice, Jurker Lessing. Jurker is head of research and development for BoKlok, which is the initiative many of you know between Skanska and IKEA. And he's also an adjunct professor at Stanford. And he will talk a little bit about both today. And I want to welcome him. Welcome, Jurker, for coming on Modex. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this.
Jurker and I go way back as both academics and also working with industry. And he does some pretty incredible things, both on the theory and concept side, as well as the application side. And so this will be a lively discussion. With that, I encourage Jurker to go ahead and share your screen and share with us what you've been working on, and then we'll have a question and answer at the end.
Okay, thanks a lot. I'll try to share my screen here. Let's see. So this is what I had planned to talk about today. A couple of words about who I am. Then mainly talk about BoKlok, the company I work for. And then a couple of words about an upcoming event that we call Industrialized Construction Forum at Stanford. So I'll come back to that. But first, a couple of words about me. As Ryan said, I have the position as head of research and development at BoKlok. BoKlok is a joint venture between Skanska and IKEA. I'll talk more about that. As an adjunct professor at Stanford, I've been collaborating with Stanford for 8 or 9 years, mainly teaching a class called Industrialized Construction, but also trying to facilitate the work and the collaboration between academia and industry, and get both worlds to connect and learn from each other, especially in this topic, focusing on accelerating change in construction. My background is that I did my PhD here in Sweden at Lund University, oriented at industrialized construction, strategies for how to get that to work. And then, as also Ryan mentioned, I've been in and out in academia and industry for the last 20 years, and all the time focusing on industrialized construction, industrialized house building in different ways. So then I want to go into talking about BoKlok. And as I said, BoKlok is a collaboration between Skanska and IKEA, and our mission is to create sustainable and quality homes at a low price for all, meaning for the many people, wide layers of customers in society. And it started already back in 1996. And this guy here is the founder of IKEA, Ingvar Kamprad, and he had an idea that it must be possible to build good quality homes to people with, so to say, ordinary jobs. And he got that idea actually when he visited a housing fair, and he actually got a little upset because the only housing he saw was fairly exclusive and pretty expensive. So he got almost a little angry, saying that it must be possible to build homes for the many people. And he picked up the phone and called the CEO of Skanska, Melker Schörling, and said these words. And Melker agreed, and that was actually the start of BoKlok, the BoKlok story. This was in the mid-1990s, and then shortly after, BoKlok was founded with this as the founding idea. So that's almost 25 years ago. A lot of things have happened. And BoKlok is now a project development company, fairly established company. We have our own product portfolio. We also have our own factory production, and we control the site production of the homes that we build. So sort of closest to our heart, we are a project development company. But in order to do that in a good way, especially with the promise to build sustainable quality homes for the many people at a low price, then our recipe is to have our own product portfolio, our own factory production, and control the site production to really have a vertical integration. We now build around 1,000 homes per year, and since the start, I've built around 12,000 homes. We have, as I will talk more about, we have a very standardized offering to our customers. But what's very interesting and we're super proud of is that we have also the highest ranking in customer satisfaction here in Sweden. So we got the highest position in 2017 and 18, and last year we got on the second place. So we think it's a really cool combination to have a very standardized offer, but we also have a super high customer satisfaction. So we'll get into and talk about how we sort of manage to keep that balance. As I mentioned, we build in Sweden mainly. This is where we started, but we have also expanded to Norway and Finland, and also the last year year before we expanded to the UK, and we hope to build our first project there very soon. So that's very exciting. And now I want to take you through how we developed the concept. I say we, I wasn't with the company then, but this is actually the way we do it still in a continuous improvement process. But from the start, it followed three main steps, the development of BoKlok. It's actually more of a traditional product development process than more what we see in construction, where we have much more, more project-oriented approach. But when BoKlok was developed, it followed these sort of product development steps. First, the customer target segment was investigated, or the market was investigated, and the target segment that BoKlok should focus on was found and investigated fairly deeply. After that, the product development phase followed with, of course, the knowledge and intel found in the investigation was used as input to the product development. And the third step was to establish the production system and the supply chain. And to me, this is a very interesting order to do this, and not as we see in some cases where we build factories that are super advanced, but that's done not so much with the clear customer orientation in mind. And then sometimes it's hard to get that in balance. But for us, we did it in this way, and it has meant some really good opportunities for us to optimize what we do. So first, I'll go through these steps a little more in depth. So as I said, digging deep into who our customer is. meant that, and still means, because we do this on a regular basis to when we are updating our concept. So really identifying and investigating the customer segment in terms of many things, of course, but of course, how much can they afford to pay for housing? What are their priorities in terms of design, materials, and stuff like that? And what do they value in a home? How is their family situation, the demographics, what kind of functionality are they looking for, and so on. And we have one thing that we always come back to, and that is that a single preschool teacher with one child shall always afford to buy a BoKlok home. And that sets the target cost and target price level that we always aim for. And that is the sort of the guiding star for all our product development and all our production to really deliver on that promise. So moving on to the product development part, we have now, after all these 25 years, we have developed this as a product strategy. As I said, the product development is based on customer insights, of course. And also, since we have been building for quite some time and we have many projects behind us, we also know what went wrong and what was good and what was appreciated and so on. So we use that, of course, also when we develop new products and our continuous improvements. But our product strategy is to have a very narrow range of products. We call our building system a product platform. And the way we have done it is that we have standardized apartments that are broken down into modules, volumetric elements, and then we can configure based on those standardized apartments and modules. Then we can configure the buildings and housing areas based on that. So this, what you see on the picture here, is one way that a housing area can be configured with 4-story buildings, as you see in the front, but in the back to the left, you see a 2-story edition of the same sort of content. The apartments are the same in that building, but it's lower and adds to the housing area in that way. This picture shows a different configuration. As you see in the back, we have the multi-story product family. We have 3-story and 2-story buildings. And in the front, we have our single family home product family that is combined here in this housing area. So basically what we have is a multifamily part and a single family home product family, like what you see here, the row houses. And those can be combined according to the sort of unique project specifications in each time. But as I said, the content, the apartments inside are always the same. And how we want to see what we build is that we don't only build buildings, we build housing areas. In every project, we deliver a housing area, and the housing area is our product. So we are trying to have as many solutions in our portfolio as possible to be super prepared to deliver a high quality housing area. So we're not only focusing on the buildings, we also have all the other parts that adds to a housing area. Can be greenhouses, could be cultivation areas, the garden, the places to meet and have barbecue, and so on and so on, because that's what we do in every project, and that's also why we want to have really good solutions in our portfolio to do that.
Jörger, did that come from your research in the number one item, which is customer
Yes.
preferences?
Yes, exactly. You could say that, because that's what we have learned, that our customers, they don't only ask for an apartment, they actually ask for a community or a living space. That's our translation, but the living space is a place where you not only stay in your apartment, but you actually spend a lot of time in the housing area with the playground and the barbecue area and so on. And we have also learned that for some time our focus was mainly the buildings, but when we realized that, okay, let's see, we spent a lot of time in every project to create the solutions that end up being fairly similar from project to project. So why not structure them also in a product in the product platform to have a higher preparation to deliver our projects in a smart way. So if we move into, because now we've talked about how we investigated our customer segment, we have talked about our product development, and now let's see how we have set up our production system and supply chain. And the logic here is, of course, that if we have a narrow range of products, then we can optimize the production of those products. And of course, this was done already from the start as factory production, because already from the beginning, this was thought to be recurring business, similar products, and then an industrialized approach also to production was very logical. So optimized factory-based production means that we can have an optimized workflow through the factory. We can really work with standardized processes, recurring activities, continuous improvements, and minimizing waste. And this almost sounds like an advertisement for lean production, and it almost is as well, because when we have all these prerequisites in our factory, then we can start applying similar principles as other industries have done for decades. I'll walk you through our factory fairly quickly. We work with a fairly high level of automated machinery. We have an ongoing investment in our factory where we are increasing the automation level quite dramatically. The first part of the factory is producing flat elements like the wall panel you see here, and the floor panel or floor element that you see here. And as you can see, we use wood as the structural material. You can also see here that we equip the elements already in this phase with the piping, insulation, electric installations, and so on. And we actually put on the hardwood floor already when the element is a flat element. And then the flat elements go together and is assembled into modules. And after this, the modules continue through the factory to be completed to a very high level. So around 85% of the construction work is carried out in the factory. And we by our interior solutions from IKEA, of course. So these are IKEA cabinets that you might recognize. As I mentioned, we have very optimized workstations. Since we do identical modules over and over again, we can really optimize the workstations. So with the equipment, the material that is used at that particular station to really increase efficiency. And as I also mentioned, the module continues through the factory to be completed with painting. The kitchen is installed completely. The bathroom is completed as well. All cabinets and other details are assembled already here in the factory with the perfect conditions for production that we have. So our strategy is to try to do as much construction work as possible in the factory, because that's where we have the best conditions to do it in a good way. But of course, we can't have the building in the factory. So we need to transport the modules to the site. And we do that. And this picture to the left is, I took that on a Monday morning. That's when we have been, like the week before, preparing the foundation and the scaffolding in advance. Because when we start assembling the modules, it's really, really fast. So the picture to the right is taken on the Thursday after. So after 4 days, we have the building up, we have the roof on, and it's sealed for weather exposure. Then it takes a couple of more months to complete everything with the facade and balconies and the gardens, and of course connecting all the installations and doing the small work that is left for the site. But the actual assembly is done super quickly. So that's sort of the flow through our investigation about the customers, the product development, and the production. And what we are working on now, we are very focused on sustainability. Of course, we are well on the way since we are using wood as the structural material. But also, since 2 years, we install solar PV on all our multifamily projects. And even here in the north, in Sweden, solar PV makes a lot of sense. So that's now a part of our standard offering. And it's also an important and natural step of the journey that we have decided to take on towards climate neutrality. So we have decided to really make an effort to be climate neutral by 2035. So a very important step that we have taken towards that is also a new pilot project that we have started. We are in the development phase and design phase and investigation phase of that. We aim at very smart water reduction solutions. We aim at reduction of 60% water. We want to maximize the solar PV. We want to try to have wind turbines on the building. We will have sun heat collectors. We will have battery storage, and we will have community sharing solutions as well, cultivation and so on. The logic behind this is not to build a pilot project, because one small pilot project doesn't really change anything. But what we want to do is that we want to search and try new solutions that will be the part of our standard offering in the coming years. So that's the reason why we want to try it out in a pilot project and then incorporate it into our product platform. So that's extremely exciting. We will start building this project in the end of next year. And what's also very interesting, I think, we haven't touched the modules at all. So this is features and solutions that are built upon the existing product platform, you could say. So that's very exciting, and we look forward to start this project and see what solutions we can bring to the future. And we are also working on, and we have been working on, we have just recently launched a new look, you could say, new architecture for the Swedish part of our product platform. We have established a collaboration with a Swedish architect called Thomas Sandell, and he has really embraced BoKlok's vision to build high quality homes for the many people. And he says that we want to create houses that will be able to stand over time, which works in most environments, who breeds sustainability, humanism, and a dose of joy. And here are some shots of the first project that will use these sort of architectural features. So you can see the solar panels are there as part of the concept, and these are new facades, new balconies, and a whole new look. And the roof is also completely new. And here you could see the entrance balconies, the walkways also have a new look, and you can see the nice timber frame that is exposed for like a new feature for us. So we're looking forward to this as well, launching this in a first project mid next year, and we are super excited to see what our customers like that, and communities and municipalities that we are bringing this to. So that's the words I wanted to say to you about BoKlok. And then, as Ryan also mentioned, we have, in my role at Stanford, every year we organize a conference or a seminar, or as we call a forum, the Industrialized Construction Forum. And next time we do that is in January next year, January 26 to 27. And the good thing about COVID and the pandemic is that all these events now are online. So this event will be online. It has been physical events the years before, but now it's online. So if you're interested in participating, you should visit sci-fi.stanford.edu/events and register for the event. And the forum is a place for academians and industry people to meet, share knowledge, and the ultimate goal is to accelerate change in the construction industry through various principles in industrialization. So we will in this edition we will talk about sustainability. We will talk about 3D printing, industrialized construction from an owner's perspective, and also parametric design. So this will be a super interesting event. So if you're interested, go and register, and then we will meet there. So I think that's it from me. Thanks a lot for listening, and I think Ryan has maybe a couple of questions that he wants to ask.
Very helpful, Jörker. Thank you for presenting that and spending the time putting it together. Really appreciate it. And just to round this out for our audience before we get into questions, one of our previous episodes, we featured Daniel Hall, who is an assistant professor at ETH in Switzerland. And he was a student of Yerker and did a PhD at Stanford before he went to ETH. He helps to organize that event. And so we encourage you to look at his video as well and see what he's working on for research at ETH. Thank you for again, for presenting. I've organized some questions and I've done it by the themes that you have presented. Number one, sort of market response. Number two, the product platform. And then number three, sort of the production process, the assembly process. So on the first item, if I might just ask a little bit more about the nature of the business or the business model of BoKlok. It was started by Skanska and IKEA. Is it a separate company altogether and they are now investors, or is it still run by those parent companies? How does it operate as a business?
It's still run by, yeah, no, it's still operating as a daughter company, you could say. So we still have IKEA and Skanska as our owners, but since it had to be sort of organized under one of the two companies, it's organized under Skanska, the business itself, but there is a mother company called BoKlok AB, BoKlok Inc. That owns controls the brand and all that. That's owned 50-50 by Skanska and IKEA, but then the operations are carried out as a branch of Skanska.
Right. Oh, that's good. And then on the market question, you certainly did a lot of research on trying to understand the customer going into the product, and you continue to do that. Is that done through sort of survey and interviews? Is that done through post-occupancy evaluation? You know, how do you get an idea on what the customer values or the response to your product?
Yeah, you almost answered it yourself, because it's all of those things. So we have sort of a yearly process where we go, we do surveys with all our customers. After every project, we do surveys to get our customers' feedback, which could be super detailed, but it's also on an overarching level, of course. And then we also keep, of course, an eye on the trends on the housing market, because it's not always the case that you could actually ask customers, what do you want?
Right.
Because yeah, we all know the old story. If you ask people 100 years ago what they would like in terms of transportation, they would like faster horses. Nobody would say a car. And sometimes it's like that in housing too. So we have to investigate, we have to ask, we have to follow trends, and then it's up to us to be creative, of course, to translate all that, those different sources of input, and be creative and translate that into new products or a change of our existing product platform or an addition or so. So the sustainability developments are part of that. It's not that our customers have been saying really loudly to us, we want the solar panels, but they want to keep low cost for their living. They are interested in sustainability on a general level. We see that, okay, now is the right time to really do this move and integrate solar PVs in our product platform. And while we are keeping the cost for that low and doing it in a smart way. So that's sort of an example how we got the message from a couple of different sources, and then we translated it into these solutions.
Yeah, that's great. But we all know that the inefficiencies of project development happen when you have too many customer inputs in the process, right? If they're continuing to have desires. So like a single family luxury home has got to be the least efficient from a production standpoint, because they want all of these customized components and things. And so there has to be a balance there. Are you developing your own land and your own projects, or are you serving a turnkey solution for a developer as a singular solution? What's the model there?
The model is that we buy the land and we develop it for our own development, and then we sell directly to customers.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So we do that, and then also as part of our collaboration with IKEA, we have our sales events and we meet our customers at IKEA. So and that's also done in a very efficient and actually a pretty fun way. So we have some nice customer events where we do. I mean, it's both marketing and sales in the same time, you could say, and in that way it's both efficient, but it's also a good way for us to meet with the customers and get some feedback as well.
That's great. On the number 2 item, which is about the product platform, a question about design and engineering. Do you have design and engineering in-house? I see you're partnering with Thomas now. Is that always been the case as a third-party designer, or do you have a mix of both?
We don't have architects in-house. So we always have partnered with external architects to do the sort of design, the architectural design. But the technical and structural design we have in-house, at least for the majority of the engineering work. And then, of course, we have also some consulting partners to help with more expertise areas. But so yeah, architects we collaborate with externals, but engineers we have in-house.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that helps understand. And then on the number 3 item, which is about the sort of production and assembly process, Sweden has gone through a 45-year history of efficient panelized construction and a whole infrastructure surrounding panelized construction with Randak as a company, machine company, etc. And so I just wondered, was BoKlok started as a panelized company in the 90s, or did it go straight to modular, three-dimensional volumetric first? And then what was the decision regarding that? Or did it evolve from a panelized to a modular production system?
Yeah, it actually did. It actually was exactly that evolution. It started off as the product was designed as I described. The first couple of years, I think it was, I don't remember because I wasn't with the company then, but I've heard the story. But for a couple of years, the production was based on flat panels that were assembled on site, and much more construction work was carried out on the site. Then there was a decision that, okay, let's move more production work to the factory. So they went modular, and that's when I think that was when they felt that, okay, the concept works, the product works on the market, we know the customers like what they get, but we need to take much more control of the costs and the time and the whole production and the supply chain. So that's that was when they moved into modular. And after a couple of years after that, because then the production was done by a sort of an external factory, but after some years, BoKlok was able to acquire that factory, and since then it's part of the company as an integrated part.
That's great. Yeah. So you've been working with Stanford and working with students for many years now, about 5-6 years it looks like, and given your experiences in both your PhD and then with with BoKlok and now working with Stanford. I also know that long ago when we first met, you were doing a sabbatical, sort of a learning journey over here in the United States at the time, and collecting information on companies. Because you're familiar with what's going on in the United States currently, I would ask the question, right? What do you see are some of the biggest differences, and what are some of the things that we have to overcome, or things that we need to do in order to realize some of the potential of modular housing here in the United States? Sweden's been doing it a long time. It's not only BoKlok, of course, you know the other companies there in Sweden as well, and we've interviewed some of them. But what are some of the success factors there that we could learn from here in the United States?
Well, I think maybe one first learning is that to really industrialize or going modular, that's really, really hard to be successful with if you try to do it on a project level. So what we have seen is that the successful companies, it's companies that really have taken the step to be only modular, to do that only and focus and do investments, and in our case, as I described, focusing even on what customer segment we are building for and so on, and optimize our factory based on that. Could other companies here in Sweden have focused to be really, really efficient with their factory and have a somewhat more flexible building system, but still knowing, okay, what kind of products, what kind of buildings can we build, and then looking for clients that are building those kind of buildings. So it's some kind of specialization and courage maybe to take the decision and go all into that. So that's maybe the first. Then I think we see some interesting companies coming not least in California, but also around in the US, with a lot of opportunities, I think. And what I've seen is that some of these companies have an advantage because they are very, very mature in digitalization. So it's digitalization that's sort of the starting point for these companies. That hasn't been the case here. Here it's been more like production processes and design and so on. So that's interesting because if you are very mature in digitalization, you could do a pretty interesting leap into automated production and maybe different types of robotization and so on. So that's interesting, I think. But again, it's hard to do that on a project level. It has to be on a company level and maybe not industry level, but there has to be sort of a surrounding around these companies with suppliers and subcontractors, maybe consultants and so on, that understands the concept and can contribute in a good way. So I guess there has to be some critical mass, and then the wheel can start turning in the right direction. But what I see in the US is that there is some really interesting movements going on. So it's very exciting to see and interesting to see the similarities and differences between the US and maybe Sweden or the Nordics.
Well, thank you, Jurker, for spending time on Modex Network Voices. We appreciate you taking that on, and certainly keep in touch with Jurker. Go online and see the Industrialized Construction Forum for Stanford, and you can sign up for the virtual conference this January. Thank you again, Jurker, for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you all for listening, and stay safe, everyone.